Hey everybody, and welcome to my N5 series in the SP404 Mark II, where I cover a topic in about 5 minutes. And today I want to just show you some differences for how the sequencer works between the 404 Mark II and how it works in the MPC Live. Obviously you can do something similarly between the two, but there's a few things that I've seen people have gripes about for how the Mark II does things, that because you can't run multiple patterns at the same time. That's what I think the design decision they made that makes sense over here. You can, however, do some interesting things on the Akai MPC that allows you to have different track mutes that are separate from how you do pad mutes. Anyway, before we do anything, what I've done is loaded up a drum synth here just so that I don't get any copyright strikes for using some cool pads or sounds from other folks, but just bear with me. I'm just going to record this off real quick. So I'm not going to bother fixing the tails. I'm just going to do this. All right. So we've got a drum kit here that we can now use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to track 1 here. On the MPC, I've got it set up to go output on MPC output A. And we've got the TRS type A jack here to convert from TRS to Midi. So we've got the input coming in. So output from MPC, input to the SP404. And to show you I don't have any monkey business going here. Oh, wrong bank. So this is C1, and you can see it's lighting up. Not playing anything on the MPC Live here. This is all coming out of the SP404. So I can turn the volume knob all the way down, and you can still hear it. Anyway, so the way this is working is right now, let me slow down here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just start recording, and I'm just going to record in I'll just record in like a house kind of standard beat. Probably helps if I can hear the metronome, which I cannot. What have I done horribly wrong? Is it just not on? It is on. Oh, because I turned the volume down like a bozo. All right, let's try this again. So now you can see here the pad's lighting up. It's just sending MIDI note C1 over to the SP404 Mark II, and it's actually playing from the Mark II. And what you'd normally do if we were on the, I'll turn the recording off. And we don't need the metro. Well, maybe we'll want the metronome back. But what you'd normally do on the 404 Mark II is you'd keep layering on. So now here you go. Actually, you wouldn't do that. Probably. So we record that in, and then you'd end up having a pattern with that in it. But what you can do on the MPC, because you have multiple tracks, is we can create a new track and just record in just the snare. Yeah, so I'll do that here. Oops. Yeah, so I recorded the MIDI note. You can see it's going, but I have to set it to here. And we still want channel 1. So now you can see it's playing both. Now I can create another track and go to port A. What do we do? So I could just tap out like some hi-hats, and I'll get to the point in a second here. But so again, just so I've got 3 tracks going, and what I can do here is we can do track mutes. So if I go mute, you can now see I've got these 3 tracks going that I haven't labeled, but this is effectively kick, snare, and hats. If I want to just drop 2 of these, I can drop out like the drums and the snare, or I can then come in, take the patterns, and just bring in the drums and the snare and mute out the hats. This is for me, usually the way I like to work, especially on the MPC, is to have just different patterns set up for different parts of the song, and then I can just take those in and out. That is something that you can't do on the Mark II, and instead you have, because you can only work at one pattern at a time, you have to kind of build those things up and then consider if you want to use pad mutes or not. Now, I still can use pad mutes. I can do shift reverse. I can mute stuff out over here if I want to. So the options are there. You can kind of work with it, but I figured I just wanted to kind of show folks, there are a few different ways that you can approach these things. And if you do have an external sequencer, there's probably, I wouldn't use the MPC Live as an external sequencer to the Mark II probably, but if you do have one, whether it's on the iPad or someplace else, there are some, if you keep kind of your different elements separated, you can work in some different ways where you kind of build up your different parts of your song by muting the notes that are coming into the Mark II and allowing you to kind of build up more complex songs and variations without having to keep kind of copying patterns and making lots and lots of patterns. So hopefully that helps you guys out, gives you some ideas, but I just wanted to show you guys there are some different ways to work with things and kind of do some fun things if you have multiple pieces of gear. So anyway, take it easy, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.